Hi everyone, today's video is going to be about me reworking a comics page. Now you may often see footage of me just like do a time lapse of a piece, but today I thought I'd like to show you a page I was working on earlier on this week, which is the opening page to my mini comic. And I'd just like to say there are a few problems with it to start out. My idea for this first page was to introduce like a magic school, or more like clearly a magic or monastery. Students like walking around its like grounds and all that. I think the main problem is the visual clarity. When one like looks at this, I think the main idea is there, and it's sound in itself. I just think on a technical like level, it's first of all, the direction your eye is supposed to go is not that clear, and I think where it gets down here, it gets a little bit cramped in, just because I guess this is to do with the portrait like orientation, as most comics go. But and yeah, if I were just to make this a little bit more like readable, because my idea is to introduce the theme on the first page, and the setting, also the main character who's in the bottom right. But we're not meant to. We're sort of like meant to get a idea of his surroundings and his and to gain interest into who he is and all that. And it just so happens to be like the next page that we find out more. So I'm going to stop blabbering right now, and I'm going to rework this page, and I'll show you that in just a moment. As you guys know, this is a mostly traditional work, and quite getting used to getting out the gelling pen and going over like spaces that should be white and just going over certain areas. I think the composition is a little bit more fixed because I added the sun as well. I mainly just lifted that from the book, like the treatment of line in particular. I didn't really trace it, but I think the temple is now a new design, and it's more like it adds a bit more of a layer of like story. It's sort of like hinting at the story themes and stuff, but it's still pretty much the opening page. The characters are now like, they make much more sense now that they're just walking out of it instead of like walking in just walking a line row to the left. I thought it made sense at the time, and I think it fixed it a bit more. Just keeping the perspective in like, I just gotta keep that in mind. And I think it flows a bit more now that like there's obviously a focal point that makes your eye circle the image and then finish at the bottom right, where it's just a bit unclear but enough to like gauge your interest. That's the funny thing about like traditional media, is that you can't really undo or fix major mistakes, but not that there is any here. But I did play around a lot with like the white gel pen and fix certain areas, and to like just make the shading a bit more consistent on the temple, just the side that's shaded predominantly, and I think it flows a lot better. And yeah, I don't really have much else to say on that. I was just really unhappy with what looked to be too cramped and I hope there's a bit more. There is a lot more like negative spaces and patches, and that I think that lends towards readability and clarity, which was my main goal in trying to making this page. But also it's very thematic, is good, and there will also be a tiny little speech bubble and when I'm in post-production. But yeah, it's not the best page I've done, especially traditional, as one can imagine. Like, there's a lot of things that could go wrong, but I decided to do this because it just feels right, you know. Like, I did the whole comic predominantly like in this method, so I think I'm happy with how it's going. Yeah, and so the type of page I'm doing right now is called splash page, and you'll have noticed I've gone beyond like the basic comic bleed and making it a bleed page, and that's all right. It's mainly, the purpose of a splash page is to show something in a dramatic light, or like reveal something in a more like dramatic way. But I think it can also be good at like establishing shots, and sometimes they go beyond just one page. They go into spreads, which is like two double page spread, be technical, and I think this really helps. But also the fact that it's like, normally comics, like I said, they're in a portrait format, and mostly it's good. It makes sense as a camera angle because you're zooming downward and like seeing what's on the ground, and yeah, all this works together to form basically a good establishing shot. The thing I like about drawing comics is that you don't necessarily have to fill in every line or every detail. You can do it in such a way that your mind fills in the blanks. Like, if you give like a character, say, enough definition compared to the background, you will like draw more focus to that character. And also this can be like a bad thing in that you can focus too much on certain details, and it's one of the things I find about this piece that's not too perfect, but at least is still an improvement on the aforementioned page. But I think I really like working in that kind of mode of thinking, just defining areas that need like attention and focus, because after all that is what clarity, you know, that's the type of clarity I want in like the page layout and all that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think in the comments. Did I do a good job? Anyway, see you guys later. Cheers.